What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph Brocast. I am Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And what we do on the Brograph podcast is we talk about stuff that is a supplement to Brograph.com, which is our tutorial website about Cinema 4D and After Effects mainly, but also about stuff like your job and doing contracting and accounting and business stuff. And then we do the other end, like render engines and technical geeky stuff and the whole thing.
Those are my favorites, the technical geeky stuff.
Technical geeky stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've been following us, you know that we've been relatively busy.
Very. That's an understatement.
Yeah. Which is good. But I am preparing to leave town to do 2 different projects. And so needless to say, I've been super far behind and I haven't gotten that much done as far as like prep for the show. So this will be a short show.
Yep.
And
I'm super far behind because I'm still recuperating from a tornado.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And you might have just broken your toe like half an hour
ago.
My
gosh, I'm in so much pain.
So
like I can't even bend it without being in searing pain.
So short of being busy and having broken toes and such, it's better than having no show.
Right.
Because next week we will have no show. So
right.
We figured we'd help y'all get your fix if you like the show. Mm-hmm. So we will cover a couple things here. I can't promise that it will be a long show at all, though. So I wanted to talk. Let's talk about this week. I did the Premiere Pro CC 2015.2 update, and
I need to update because I wonder if it fixes my problem that I was having with it not opening.
Well, hopefully, but you may have updated it and thought you updated it, but you didn't.
Maybe. I don't know.
So what happened to me?
I don't use Premiere Pro that often anymore. It's so weird. Once I switched over jobs, it's like it's weird. I find that like and I noticed this the other day, every job that I switch over, it's like because I have such a wide variety of stuff that I do, both with video or 3D or blah, 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 I find that I focus just on one thing at whatever job it is, you know? So like I don't do a lot of video work, even though my entire background is video. I don't do that at my job currently. But my last job, I didn't do any 3D work. I don't know. It's weird. So,
well, you did.
I haven't had a chance to update Premiere because I just don't use it.
Well, you got a nice looking render or something out this week for something you were working on for your tutorial. So you're getting somewhere with that.
So that's, that was in my spare time, in between rendering and stuff. I was, using V-Ray in order to do the interior scene, and I actually did go through and did the Octane versions as well. And I'll tell you, they're so different.
Yeah.
Like
the look
is, and so what I did was I did it in V-Ray, I did it in Octane, both direct lighting and path tracing, and it's so different looking. Maybe I'll throw those up just in the notes or something like that. It wasn't something that I wanted to tweet out specifically because I didn't have any time to fine tune it because they were kind of ugly looking, if that makes sense.
Well, it's a good start for the tutorials, though.
Yeah, for sure.
The stuff you put up looks good.
I'll tell you, just right off the bat, and I know you're probably going to hate me for this, but just right off the bat, the rendering stuff, V-Ray looked better. It did.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to hate you for that.
Of course, I did spend more time on it in V-Ray than I did in Octane. I spent probably an hour or two in V-Ray, working on it and to getting it to look nice versus Octane, I just kind of re-changed over my materials and stuff like that. I wish Otoy would do something like they do with 3ds Max where it can read V-Ray textures and convert them over easily. I don't know. Seems to me like we could build a plugin to do that.
Add it to the list.
So
the Premiere Pro thing that I had, this is something to look out for if you're, if you're doing your update. And I actually heard about this issue beforehand because, I talked about last week doing the Octane upgrade for somebody, or doing the video card update, not Octane, because they weren't putting Octane on it, but they were doing a Octane monster capable of doing Octane, but with like the 980 Ti's and such, which I did 2 more of them this week. So that's the 8th Octane monster.
That's awesome.
So
that's way awesome.
He called me up. He was having problems with his Premiere, and he was like, I don't understand. He's like, I updated everybody's computer, but then I updated this one, and I tried to open a file on it, and it said, cannot open this because it was created in a newer version of Premiere. He's like, but I updated all of them, and I saved them on the most recent version because they were on like CC. So they went past 2014.
Yeah.
They did 15. Then they did like a minor update to it. So everything was up to date.
Like streets behind.
So he had to actually go in and do like a manual, get the install file and install it. And that's what he told me that he did. So I had that in the back of my mind. And then I try and open a project, and I'm working with them on a project, and I open it up and it does the same thing to me. And I'm like, oh, that's because I haven't done the latest Premiere update. So I go and I do it. Update does its thing, and it still won't open. I'm like, I just updated it. This has to be the most recent version. Why is it saying it was created in a newer version? So I'm looking around online. I can't find any information. And, I remember that there was that thing that happened last week with the whole, you can't, or they halted updates for a while, I think, because there was some data getting deleted or whatever. And I don't know if it has to do with that, but I'm like, okay, something's not right here. I track down a site. I find a site where you can download the raw versions of these install files. And you still have to log in with your Adobe ID. Like it's legit. It's to the Adobe site, but it's just the DMG installer files. So I download Premiere. I install the thing. And it opens up and it says, this file was created with a newer version of Premiere. I'm like, okay. I don't know what to do at this point. I have the newest version of Premiere. So I look at the number on it, and it says it's 2015. It's not 2015.2. Now, there's also a number, like it's weird. Like 2015.2 basically means it's a major update in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
They did it with After Effects just recently. I think after NAB, at NAB, they'll probably be announcing 2016 or whatever. But it's the same thing with Premiere. Like this is like it's like a step update, but it's in the middle of the year. Yeah. So this is a big one, but they have the other numbers too, and those numbers don't correspond. Like the official point, 9 point, whatever it is. I don't know what it's at this point. So I'm trying to figure this out. I'm going in circles. I'm looking online. Finally, I'm like, okay, fine. I go to the Adobe Cloud. I tell it to uninstall Premiere. I tell it to keep my preferences, though. And then I reinstall Premiere from scratch. And then all of a sudden, it's 2015.2, and the file opens.
Weird.
So, I installed this thing 3, 4, 5, 6 times throughout the whole process, trying to go in circles doing this, and it's installing itself. It's installing the latest update, but then it's not actually the new version.
That's weird. Did you send him any sort of like message or something like that?
No, and I think that's the problem. I think a couple people have, but everybody's basically done what I've done, is they've gone online and then they've uninstalled and reinstalled, and
then it works.
Then they don't want to. I don't want to send Adobe something. It's like they're not going to read it. They don't care.
No? What's his name? Oh, I know his name. I've met him. The guy who's in charge of the Adobe stuff. He really likes Doctor Who.
Yeah, you sat next to him or something.
Yeah, not knowing. Right? Yeah, not knowing that it was him. It's funny. Like I got
Super
there
Meet?
at the Super Meet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting next to him. I was like, "Hey, I like your Doctor Who thing. Your cell phone cover." He's like, "Oh yeah, here's where I got it." Blah blah blah. And he sent me an email, and then all of a sudden everything's going, the whole thing, and they're like, let's bring up so and so from Adobe, and it's that guy. He just walks right up on stage. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome. I'm gonna find out what his name is.
So we'll see if I have any more issues like that. But yeah, that was actually nice. I think I Instagrammed a picture. I meant to put it on Twitter and stuff. I probably still will, but had like 2 Mac Pros opened up and 980s everywhere and power
Nice.
supplies and
Al Mooney was his name.
Glass of whiskey right in the middle.
Yeah. He's the project manager for Adobe Premiere.
Oh, okay. Now, is he still the project manager? Okay.
According to his Twitter.
Nice.
So,
I've been working on that project, been motion tracking a lot this week in PF Track.
Yeah, how do you like it?
I like it. I mean, I already, this is the same problem. It's kind of related to what you were just talking about, is that you kind of step away from certain pieces of software for a while, then you come back, and then you have to like relearn how to do stuff.
Yep.
That's me with PF. That's me with, the worst one I have with that is Nuke, because I'll get real into Nuke and then I won't use it for like a year.
Yeah.
But PF Track's the same way. I'll have to like go back and like, okay, I had a real good method down for getting a good track. What was it? And then I had to remember.
Yeah, well, you had to do 2 tracks, and you got them done relatively quick this weekend, right?
Yeah, one of the tracks I got done for you to send you a file. It took me 2 hours.
That's nice.
And
That's real nice.
I mean, a solid track in 2 hours.
Yeah, that was a really solid track.
Yeah. But they set the scene up well. Like, it's a green screen. They had markers. They had C-stands with Z-depth markers on it.
Oh, that's good.
So that was real nice.
They're learning.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. So, pretty painless, and then brought that back into cinema. I'm learning a lot about that.
Have you done the motion tracker in cinema?
I have not.
Yeah, I haven't either.
One of those
I don't do enough motion tracking in order to necessitate learning it, I guess.
Yeah, and I hate to be this way, but for me, like, using PF Track, I'm kind of like, this is the thing. This is the program to use. I mean, unless you're using Nuke, or maybe you're using like Synthesize or Boujou or whatever. Boujou.
I like Boujou.
But I've gone in circles with all of these, and I've tried so many of them, and I've tried to learn so many of them that I've kind of stuck with PF Track because it's been the one that's been the most successful and easiest to use for me. So now it's like every time I hear about like a new tracker like Cinema 4D, it's like I don't want to learn something else. I don't know. It feels to me like every time somebody tries to build something with a lot of power in as like a side thing, it's never really that good.
Yeah, like for the motion tracker the camera tracker in After Effects is pretty good, but it's nowhere near as good as PF Track or Boujou or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've used Boujou quite a few times for motion tracking, and it's a solid tracker.
And the one that's like the 2D tracker that's in After Effects, regular 2D tracking, nowhere near as good as getting into Mocha.
Yeah. Mocha's great. I love
you put
Mocha.
some planar tracker. Man, planar
yeah,
trackers
Mocha's it's the same one that, like, when I first try motion tracking something, it's always through Mocha first. Actually, it's always through the camera tracker just to see how good of a job it can do. But then I'll always move over to Mocha before moving on to either PF Track or Boujou.
It's so quick, man. You just open it, and the workflow too.
Yeah.
In After Effects, you just click on a file and you say open it in this, and it just opens it right up into Mocha. You do your thing, you copy the keyframes, and then you paste them right back in, and you're done.
Yeah.
It's just so easy, and I can get like a solid track, especially if you're doing something, where it's a real subtle motion track thing, like you'll do like a little graphic and it comes in, it maybe tracks with the camera motion or something. And you could just pull it, and it doesn't even have to be that accurate for something like that. Because it's not like you're doing hardcore VFX, you just want it to look like it's kind of floating in Z space somewhere in the scene. Yeah, man, it's so great to just pull a track on that just in 2 seconds and bring it right back in. So that's kind of my thing with PF Track, is I don't want to mess with something else. I don't want to have to learn anything else. I feel like maybe Cinema 4D, maybe their camera tracker is good, but I just don't want to bother with it because I already have a workflow.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're totally right. Ones that are dedicated motion trackers, it's like Houdini, for example. Houdini is it's made for like particles and stuff like that, Yeah. It's so much better than anything that you're going to get that's just as a built-in with one of these other programs.
Side plug-in.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you're going through a motion tracking program that is specifically made for motion tracking. It's going to do a better job.
It's so in depth. I mean, there's so much. It's one of those programs like we talked about before, where it's so in depth that you can never even learn everything about it because there's so much to learn, so much you probably wouldn't even ever need.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like I can go in, I can set my manual trackers, I can set my auto trackers. You have so much control over, minimum, maximum auto tracks that it finds, and you can do the camera orientation when you're done and really, really fine tune it. And it's so on. But it was great. I mean, I sent you this scene, you export an FBX. It's a kind of workflow that I would like to do a tutorial on eventually. I think it would be really fun to do because basically this is just a person standing on a green screen and the camera's moving around them, kind of like handheld shaky cam.
Was it handheld or was it Steadicam or?
It was handheld.
All handheld. Yeah, it seemed a little handheld.
Yeah. So, but that's the point. It's supposed to have that look to it.
Yeah.
And so it's going around. So you rely on those Z depth trackers and you do the track, you export the FBX, you bring it in, but they've also got markers for where things are in the scene. And this is actually one of those times when Cineware really comes in handy because you can have After Effects open in one window and you got Cinema open in another window. And once you bring in that track, like back in the day when I would do a track, then I would bring in a background and I would put that piece of video on it and try and line things up. But you don't even have to do that now because like you're building a garage and I'm setting up the scene. So all I had to do was get the measurements, and we're looking at a reference file for the scene. And I brought in the markers. In the case of mine, I'm doing a closet, and I have special markers where the walls are. You don't have any markers for the walls.
Oh, nice.
So where my walls were...
Sure, you take the easy one.
Well, it's easy to bring in and like adjust a box or adjust a cube and say it needs to line up with this line on the floor. This is where the wall's going to be. And then you adjust it and you flip back over to After Effects and it auto updates. And you're like, well, I need to pull this back a little and align it this way. And you're just flipping back and forth between Cinema and you're doing blocking. Yeah. It's that easy because you've got the scene set up, you've got the trackers there, you've got the scene scale correct, and then the cool part is, even if the scene scale isn't correct, once you kind of get it close, you can make those minor adjustments. I think you called me up.
Yeah, we were way off on our scale, but yeah, you made it really easily. In fact, that was something that I never even knew about, being able to convert it. What did you do again?
So it's project scale. So the easiest way to go about doing this is to get two easy numbers. For example, I don't know how it got off because I swore I had it right. But
here's the thing: you didn't go into the project settings and change the that particular project scene. I mean, you did overall to inches, but you didn't change the project scene to inches as well.
That's right. I left it on centimeters by accident. So once we got it in there and we were looking at the actual closets, the closets were 225 inches tall instead of 80 inches tall. And so, but which is overall is pretty close, but it's not accurate enough for what we're doing.
It's only like 3 times bigger than it actually should be.
It's not like it was 80 feet tall,
right?
But the cool part is you can do the project scale if you haven't seen this before, and you can take two numbers and plug them in. So
basically,
all we did,
you took the scale of what it was. We basically eyeballed it and said, okay, this is about how big it's supposed to be. Right now it's 253 inches or whatever. Right. And then you said you basically wanted it to be 80 inches instead, right?
Yeah. So you say anything that's 225, make it 80, and it automatically scales the entire scene down.
Even your camera and your track and everything, which was cool.
Right. So everything's exactly as is, but now your scene scale, everything you're typing in is correct. So we had that set, and then just using Cineware, we can go back and forth. And I put in some checkerboard stuff in there on the floor just to make sure everything's cool. But the cool part is we're using Octane. So, for example, in my scene, I'm able to really easily see what this stuff looks like. And I'll turn off the camera and I'll work on the scene, and then I'll turn the camera back on and I can scroll through and see what it looks like. And I'm doing like really quick, like 10 sample renders, 10 samples a frame to just see what it looks like. Man, the workflow is just so great. And when it's done, it's going to look like a real closet.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the render time for my scene, which is longer than your scene, is going to be 5 hours.
Yeah. That's real good.
5 hours for
10 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
that's
10
real good.
seconds. So, it's cool. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to, like we said, we're going to do more complicated stuff later on this year. Once we get past some of the stuff we're doing and we get the plugin out, I would like to do this one and really show that workflow and do more Octane stuff and stuff like that. This would be a great example. So,
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so not much to talk about. I wanted to talk about Wacom tablets, but what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. I was trying to think about what I did this week. And most of it was just rendering. Like,
me too.
When I I'll create these little wall scenes or whatever. They're not full scenes. They're just a wall because we're showing off wallpaper. So we'll build a shelf or build some sort of little element to, design around or whatever to complement the wall. So it's not just wallpaper. And normally when I render them out relatively small. Well, then we get to the last round where it's like, okay, I think if this is going to be the final round of changes, then I'll render it out large. So instead of it only taking like 2 minutes to render, now it's taking 30 minutes to render, And so, but what sucks is like, you've got multiple changes, and you're like, well, okay, this one's going to be the last one. No, this one's going to be the last one. It's like, ugh. So that's all I did this weekend or this past week. I had 6 scenes that were all due on Thursday. So, and of course, the client keeps on sending changes back, waiting for their feedback. And then they finally send us changes back. And it's like, oh, all right, well, I guess it's coming down to the wire, even though we started it 3 weeks ago. So,
well,
because the initial project, the initial project would only take me like maybe an hour and a half to do. But then with all their rounds and rounds of changes and just like subtle things, it's not like anything. Okay, here's my biggest pet peeve. And if you do this to your client, they will hate you. If you say, I just don't really understand this, or this doesn't really look that good, or make this
vague,
look more realistic.
Yeah,
right.
Vague changes.
If you don't tell your client exactly kind of like what you want,
then you're going to pay more.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Yeah, exactly. Because they would say, well, this doesn't really look that great. So then in my mind, I'm thinking the entire thing doesn't look great. So I'll spend hours just, fine tuning everything in order to try and get it as realistic or, and then I'll go through and I'll do a bunch of Photoshop work afterwards just to find out, oh no, they just wanted this one little thing changed.
Well, and
it's well, why didn't you tell me that?
All we meant was it was too dark.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, why don't you tell me that in the first place? Because, by being vague, you're just wasting money.
Right.
So, yeah, and that was one of the most annoying things with changes is anytime a client says, well, I don't really like this. Okay, well, tell me what you do like.
What do you not like about it? What do you like about it?
Exactly. What exactly do you want to change? And I was telling some of my coworkers the other day, I said, here's the thing with still images or creating something, in 3D. It's art, and art is subjective. So what I like, someone else may not like. And so what really sucks is like when you're working for a client who doesn't really know what they're doing, or doesn't know the process, or doesn't know how long a render time or whatever, it's really hard to get inside your client's brain whenever they're and understanding their subjectivity,
Right.
when they're being really vague.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. That's probably one of the hardest things about this job, is trying to understand your client. And I've found that with every single project and every big client that I've ever had, is it takes a while to get to know your client and what they do and what they don't like. And the hardest thing about my job is, I cater to the salespeople, my salespeople, because the sales guys are the ones who are selling the work to the client. So I have to cater to the sales guys, who also have to cater to the client. So I not only have to get into the mind of my sales guys, but I also have to get into the mind of the client as well. And finding a happy medium between the two is very difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just something to think about.
Well, that's why you gotta
thought.
That's why you gotta make yourself an Otis, obviously trained and skill set, because then you come in and you're like, no, I'm telling you that this is better than what you're imagining.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the professional.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you gotta do. I wanted to ask you about Wacom tablets. Have you used a tablet, right?
Yeah, I go back and forth on tablets. Mm-hmm. I have a giant tablet at work on both my computers, and it's funny, like I'll start using it and I'll use it for like months, and then one day I'll just pick up my mouse and I'll be using my mouse for like months. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm
the same way.
It was funny. The Wacom guy, I was talking to him at NAB, one of the Wacom guys at NAB one year. And they said, if you go over to a tablet, you will never go back to a mouse.
No, that's not true.
It's not necessarily true, because
I'm faster with a mouse.
I am faster with a mouse too. I am. But I'll tell you, the comfort of a pen is so nice. Like I found when if I'm using my mouse a lot, like doing subtle color shifts in Photoshop where I'm having to do like really tight, small movements and stuff, like literally like 1 degree of color or something like that, I'll find that my entire arm is just sore the whole next day.
Yeah.
But I can't do that type of stuff really with a pen. So
I started to get Wacom hand.
Wacom claw.
Wacom claw. Dude, you remember? I don't know if you remember the old job. After I got a Intuos 4. And I was using it at home, and I was getting real good at it. Like I was never good at a tablet. Then I got real good at it, and I convinced him to buy me one. And I got one, and I started using it so much that I would get these pains in my hand. Like I'm talking like. And not when I'm using it either. That's the weird part. Like I would just be walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden I would get an excruciating, stabbing like pain shooting through my hand, like just unbearable. Like have to grab my hand and and I started getting them more and more often, and I started to get worried about it. It would just be random. It would happen. I don't know, maybe 2 times a day, and finally, after a while, it went away, and I don't know if it's because I was getting used to using it or what it was. And even to this day, sometimes, every now and then, like maybe once a month, I'll get that shooting pain. No rhyme or reason for it. And I haven't been using the tablet. Because I got an Intuos 5 at my old job, and I kind of just died off using it because I was just, you get in the crunch. I think that's what it is. It's you have to be a little more leisurely. Yeah. With a tablet, like it's a little more relaxed. You can't be rushing as much because you really have to pinpoint those little boxes you want to click in or whatever. And it's really good for stuff like that. But when I'm racing around, man, I'm just like, I'm all over the place with a mouse, and I can do it so fast. And so there's a point where I set the Intuos 4 aside, and I haven't picked it up since, and it's been sitting here gathering dust.
Yeah.
For, I don't know, man. It's been 6 months since I've used a tablet now.
Huh. That's interesting.
For no reason, just because.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I like my Magic Mouse. I like my wired Magic Mouse with my little nub.
Wait, which one's the Magic Mouse?
I think it's the Magic Mouse, isn't it? Or is that the Mighty Mouse?
That's the...
No, the I don't know. It's the one that's wired, and it's super light, and it's got the little nubby nub, you know?
In the middle. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
Yeah, I like it.
I automatically... I tried the USB... I'm sorry, the Bluetooth version of that.
Mm-hmm. It's too heavy.
Not only is it too heavy, but you'll get like phantom Bluetooth signals sometimes, and it will kind of jerk one way or the other. It's not as accurate. There'll be, you know, you're in a huge production environment, you get interference. So I went back to the wired. I cannot use that stupid mouse that they have with the trackpad installed inside of it.
I actually really like that one. I've got a couple of those, and I really like them. Thing I hate, though, about it is that the batteries die so fast.
But I love being able to spin that scrolly thing, man.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can do that with the touchpad.
You can do it with the touchpad, but not in the same way. It doesn't have the spin on it. You can't spin it as fast. You have to kind of slowly scroll across. Like, you can't just spin it, you know? I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, then you have problems with the natural and unnatural. Like, that's what bugs me about Apple, is that they switch their scrolling, and by default it goes the opposite way.
This is natural.
They call it natural, and that pisses me off, dude. I'm like, no, it's not natural. So you're saying if I uncheck this box that it's the unnatural way of doing things? No, it's how it's been forever. It's how it's always been.
The natural way of using a tablet. It is not the natural way of using a mouse. Because we've been using a mouse for how many years?
Yeah. And because your phone goes that way, you think I should do that? No.
Right.
Like, if I scroll to the left, that means I want to scroll to the left.
Right.
I don't want to scroll left to go right. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I've heard, though, once you get used to it, same thing with the Wacom tablet. Yeah. You know, it'll be hard to go back. But I use that to
scroll down web pages, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did like scrolling down web pages with the Wacom tablet because you could use a little circle thing on the side and roll it around.
Yeah.
But man, I gotta have and the other thing I do with the wired mouse is those little things on the sides, little pinch points. I turn them off immediately.
Yeah, totally.
And you know what else I do, which this really shows you how old school I am. I don't use a right mouse click on my mouse.
Oh, I do.
And people are like, why don't you have the right mouse click? Like, because there used to not be a right mouse click. And so I always hit option for right click. I never use a right click.
You are old school.
I mean, I use that muscle memory.
I hate when there's not a right mouse click.
Well, it's because I'm always hitting it by accident when it's on too. So somebody will have it on, and then I'm
oh, I know. You used to come in my office and turn it off all the time.
Yeah, because I'd be using your computer.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Well, if it's an extended period of time, like if it was just for a minute, I wouldn't do it. But I'd get on someone's computer. I'm like, man, I got to be in here for the day. And I would go in and I would turn off right mouse click because I'm like, I'm not going to accidentally right click all day long. But yeah, that shows how old school I am because you used to not be able to right click at all.
Yeah. Word.
That used to be one of the talking points whenever a PC person was trying to bash a Mac back in the day. Well, PCs have a right mouse button. Screw you, yeah. I do what I want.
Seen Deadpool yet?
No, I haven't.
Man, it was pretty good.
I have been hearing reviews.
It's like the fastest movie, rated R movie, like the highest grossing opening of a rated R movie ever. Well, it beat 50 Shades of Grey by like $40 million.
PR is spectacular.
Oh my gosh, so much. It's funny because I think it was like Fox was worried that it wasn't going to make a lot of money. You know, that like people didn't know who the character was, and so they put a ton of money towards marketing in order to make the money. And
I
really,
knew of Deadpool. I didn't
Yeah.
know really who he was. Though.
I mean, I knew he was a funny guy, you know?
Yeah, that's all I knew.
Who liked chimichangas. But I was really hoping that... Oh, never mind. I'm not going to talk about the movie. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, yeah, no spoilers.
I mean, I was really hoping that a character would be in there, but wasn't.
The billboards that they did for Valentine's Day, that was a great
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, it was.
And yeah, I just watched the video that you sent me on it, and it's really funny because all they have done for their PR is say how you should not take your kids to this movie, and what a bad idea it is to take your kids to this movie.
Which, I mean,
people are still doing it and complaining.
It's not bad. I mean, really, if you're okay with your kids seeing boobs, you know, there was a lot of boobs.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, they walk into a like a strip joint. Of course, there's going to be lots of boobs, you know.
Well, yeah, but
and there's like lots of F-bombs, but that's no big deal. I actually was kind of disappointed there wasn't more gore.
F-bombs aren't a big deal until you bring a 5-year-old,
right?
You know, or maybe like somebody brought their 6 or 7 or 8-year-old to it.
Well, that's just
like
stupid.
I couldn't believe how many F-bombs there were, and there was nudity and all that. And they wrote this on Facebook, and somebody comments like, because they were writing about that, and then they're like, they should warn somebody about that somehow.
Yeah.
And they're like, you mean maybe by like putting an R rating on it?
Yeah.
Of course. Like, I don't know.
And
but
here's the thing is, they could have easily made it a, you know, minus all the F-bombs. They didn't have to put in the nudity in there. It's whatever.
Yeah.
You know. But it's cool. Whatever. You get to see the chick from Firefly's boobs.
Everything's going to get criticism. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything's going to get criticism. No matter how hard you try, you're going to get criticism. Yep. You can't be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be able to satisfy everybody.
Yep.
But it's doing well. So that brings me to the point of taking criticism. And I wanted to briefly talk about that on the show. We've talked about it a couple times. We've talked about being, in a position like we are, where like we don't claim to be like the masters of the universe when it comes to 3D animation. We are.
I am not.
I'm
just helping a brother out. That's all I'm doing.
we're running we're doing our own thing. We're doing our own business. We're doing it for a living. We're good enough to make a good living doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, it's hard for me to criticize anybody's work. Like if they send me something and they're like...
It all goes back to the subjective. Art is subjective.
It goes back to subjective, but there are also times, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, someone's sent me or no, they didn't send it to me. I just saw it online, and it was really bad. Really, really, really bad, to the point where I didn't even want to say anything, because it's like, I don't even want to go down that road, man. I mean, this is just like, you don't have the eye. You're not cut out for this, that type of thing. Like, I can see that. I can recognize that. I can recognize someone that has potential. But at the same time, I feel bad about even doing any critiques because I'm not the best. But of course, nobody's the best. Only the best is the best. Only one person is the best. There's always someone cooler than you.
Not me.
So, but the thing is, you've got to take that. I remember when I got my first real criticized, and it was bashed pretty hard. I think I've talked about that on the show. It was really bad. But I read a good quote this week somewhere. It was from Norman Vincent Peale, and it said, "The trouble with most of us is that we'd rather be ruined by praise than saved by criticism." I was like, you're right, because a lot of people will post stuff that they've done online, 3D, and then, there are a lot of people that get constructive criticism. A lot of people that understand it. You and I understand it. There's a lot of people, like on the Reddit subreddit, there's a lot of people that understand constructive criticism. In fact, it has its own, they call it CC. Would appreciate the CC. We want the constructive criticism, and there's a lot of people that are newbies that don't get that at all.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, check out my new reel, guys. Isn't it awesome? And everybody's like, no.
You know, here's the thing. Like, even as someone who's been doing this for a really long time, I still take criticism hard, even if it's constructive.
I do too.
I don't know. You really gotta have a thick skin with this industry. And it's hard. It's hard not to get butthurt about stuff. You know,
it's hard, but criticism, like I feel like there's a difference between criticism and changes.
Yeah,
because if somebody gives me constructive criticism that is super objective, that's when I feel the worst about it, because I'm like, I have no, like, okay, if I get criticism where there's a good reason that I did something a certain way, and maybe they don't know it, like there's like maybe there was a technical reason I had to do something a certain way, or there was not a lot of time, or I had an hour to do this thing, and then I get criticized. I'm like, well, that's because I had to do this and this. I'm not butthurt about it.
Right.
But I do get butthurt when it's something super subjective, where it's like, well, that's your opinion, dude.
Well, that's just like your opinion,
man. And, you know, where the next person will look at it and think it's great. Someone with the same talent and who's on the same level as the other person will think it's perfect. That's when I hate that, because it's like, I can't convince you otherwise, because I can't give you a good reason for this. It's just your opinion. And then, of course, there's changes. And changes, to me, I don't give a crap one way or another about changes. I've been in the industry long enough, and it's really funny to watch, like, somebody who hasn't been in the industry that long, or if you get a new job or you're working on something and you're obviously pretty good at what you do, but then somebody who is not in your field, who is maybe working with you or whatever, they feel bad about giving you the changes. And they're like, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, man. We really got, I'm not saying it's not good, man. I'm like, dude, it's fine. Like, yeah. Chill. Like, I do this every day. People tell me to change stuff every day of my life. I don't care. It's changes, and it's usually for reasons that are not because it's not good or it doesn't look good. It's just, you know, it has to do with PR, it has to do with marketing, or it has to do with edit decisions. It's like, well, we have to change this because of this. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I get that too. The worst is like when they come back like with this, I'm really scared to talk to you about this look. And then it's like, oh, the client wants this and this changed. Okay, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
It's fine. Really? And then people are like, really? Oh, yeah, it's totally fine. It's easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not, I don't, you know, I mean, it's really good. No, it's fine. Like, you're not giving me subjective, you know, weird criticism that I can't really defend. It's just, you're just telling me this has got to change because money. Like, you're hiring me to do exactly what you want. So when someone hires me to do what they want, I care about the work, and that's why sometimes I get super stressed out when someone changes something, because when I know it's a bad idea. From an artistic point of view, but most of the time it's not an artistic thing. It's someone coming back and saying, hey, we just got to change this. Yeah. Because I'm the client and I need this as the result to sell to this person. Oh, okay. That's what you want. That's what I'm being paid for. I'm being paid to make changes for you. So don't be scared to approach me about it.
Word.
Yeah, anyway, I don't have much more to say about that, but thought it was a good one. Having
that was a good spiel. I like
not much to talk about today, you know. I mean,
how do you guys feel about changes? How do you guys feel about constructive criticism and subjectivity? Shoot us an email, brograph@brograph.com.
That's for true.
For true.
That's for true. Productive or non-productive days?
Man, every day's a non-productive day lately, feels like.
I've had one or two of these this year, and one of them was this week where I had a lot of stuff to do. I knew I had to do it. and I just couldn't get started.
Yeah.
There's something about it, man. Like,
dude, my house is an absolute wreck. We have not made a meal at our house since the tornado. Like, we have eaten out every single day since the tornado. It's like we've got so many people coming and going inside of our house, and like our house is just a wreck. Like, it doesn't. It's one of those things where it's like there's so much to do. I just want to take a nap.
Yeah, and I do that sometimes.
I don't know where to get started.
You ever do that? You're like so overwhelmed. You're like, I literally don't want to do anything except take a nap.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And sometimes it helps.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes you do the coffee hack, and well, you don't, but
yeah,
take a espresso shot and take a 20-minute nap and get up. Oh man,
that's
no
funny.
more than 20 minutes.
Yeah,
though.
I can't take a 20-minute nap. Like I can't take naps at all. If I take a nap, it's for like 4 hours. It is sleep.
If you do it right, it might actually be less than 20, might be 15 or whatever it is. Excuse me, too much Monster. I think it's if you take over 20 or over 25, something like that. You go to like a different stage of sleep. But if you get that caffeine at just the right time, man, and you take that nap, you're good to go. But I had one of those days this week, and I knew I had all this stuff to do, and I'm like, I cannot start it. I try to get started, and then something distracts me, and not necessarily like something non-productive like Facebook. You know, an email will distract me, and then I'm like, oh, and I was supposed to do this thing, and then I call somebody, but then you get done with that. Oh man, I'm supposed to have a call now in 20 minutes. Well, I'm not going to get into my project in the next 20 minutes.
Oh man, I've been stuck on the phone with Expedia all day.
Right. You know, or you'll do the call, and then you're done with the call, and you're like, what was I doing? Oh, I was doing the project. Oh wait, but I couldn't do the project because I had to install this thing. Oh, I was trying to install the thing, but it was requiring me to restart, and I can't restart because I'm encoding something in the background. So I got to wait till the encoding is done before I can restart my machine and finish the update. And in the meantime, you're waiting for that, and you get distracted by 4 other things, and you forget the encode finishes, and you go, oh, the encode's done. That's right. Okay, now I can read. And so it's you have those days where none of it's getting done. I had that, man, and I was just like, and we touched on this before too, but you just have to stop. There's some days where it's not going to happen, and you just got to walk away from it. And I just had to walk away. I ended up coming back that night and doing like the first motion track that I was talking about, but like, I just could not get started, and it's like, why? And some of the days, I'll have no problem with it, and I'll be so focused. And other days, I'm like, maybe I'm ADD, maybe I need Adderall or something, you know? Like, maybe I really need to go, like, get some drugs. But that's probably not the case, though. But what's weird about the whole thing, too, is that once I actually get deep into something, I'm focused.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't understand that, but you know, and it's stuff I like to do too. And I'm not necessarily procrastinating, but I feel like I'm procrastinating, and I'm just not. You know, maybe it's like a snowball effect. I want to get the snowball going, but I just cannot get the thing going down the hill, going down the mountain. Yeah, and it just won't start. But once I get started, I don't want to stop.
Yeah, totally.
The other night I was working on some 3D, and I had an appointment at 6 o'clock, and I had to leave, and I was like, man, I want to keep going.
Yep.
I don't want to stop working on this. I'm having fun. This is great. It's going well. I'm being productive, and now I have to stop.
Yep.
But the other day, I couldn't get started.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. Something hardwired inside of ourselves, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I do that a lot, too. Where I just don't want to, I don't want to. It's like there's so much to do, but then once you get started doing it, it's like, okay, you start knocking stuff off the list, you start feeling better about yourself, and then you really want to just finish it all. And it sucks when you have to stop. I don't know.
Maybe drugs are the answer.
Drugs are always the answer. It's funny.
Okay, so I think we're going to do a call probably out on Reddit in the next couple weeks for topic ideas. We'll probably next week we're going to do no show.
Yeah,
because I'll be gone. But then we're going to do the show with with Jeremy, and we're going to talk about some business stuff. So we're starting to get that together. So if you have questions about the business aspects of not Cinema 4D, but just being your own boss or
freelancing, production, anything,
accounting.
What
else?
Invoicing,
dealing with clients in certain ways,
maybe
sales, PR, just anything that, like, if you don't know how to handle
networking,
all marketing. Of that. You've got 2 weeks though. You've got 2 weeks to get it in. Email us, Twitter us, whatever.
I don't know why.
You got 2 weeks to get it in.
Sorry,
man. We're in a That's What She Said mood today.
Wow.
Okay, so emails and such, we don't have a lot. We just had 2 quick things. Somebody sent a question to us via a Reddit message and said, me and my schoolmate are studying 3D animation and modeling and want to purchase 1 copy of Octane standalone and the Cinema 4D plugin. And the question was about the license. Now, we were talking about people pirating licenses and such. This is a way to go.
It's not a bad idea.
They wanted to share a license.
They're technically not doing anything wrong.
Technically not.
Because, if you're... Okay, so this was their workaround. Go ahead. Talk.
Okay, when you buy the license, does it wrap it to the Cinema 4D serial number, I guess was the first question, because they both have their own copy of Cinema with a different serial number.
Correct.
Which it doesn't. It doesn't do that. Because me and my friend would like to share 1 license. So I would use it for a couple hours and someone else would use it, he would use it for a couple hours and so on. So it would be a floating license situation. You deactivate it here, you activate it over there. Now, like, if you were a business and the 2 of you were both working in that business, that would be totally fine. You deactivate here, you activate it over there. It was just making sure that was doable before they bought it. And I told them, as far as I know, that's how I do it. When I'm transferring licenses, I don't do it that often.
Yeah.
I do know that there's a 1 hour, you can only deactivate and reactivate once per hour, which makes sense. But, I've never had any issues going between like a work computer and then coming home, back when I worked for somebody and transferred something over here or put it on another machine. Or I've done the most I've actually done the activations, the deactivate, reactivate, is when I'm installing new computers or reformatting a hard drive and starting over.
Yeah.
Or something
I've only actually deactivated it once, and that was when I was doing the test to see if version 3.1 would work on a non-NVIDIA computer.
Yeah.
Which so far it does not. So far. Let's do our weekly check to see if there's any updates.
On iTunes?
No, on the Otoy.
Yeah, and we need to check iTunes.
Yeah,
too,
you do that. You check Otoy, and I'll check iTunes
reviews. And in the meantime, we got a pretty funny tweet this week. It was from who was it from?
From let's see.
I accidentally the Twitter name.
Thanks for the answer. Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know.
It was the one about
you accidentally the Twitter name.
I accidentally the Twitter name. I'm going to look it up now while I'm looking up the other thing.
Reviews. No new reviews.
No new reviews. Boo earns.
I was saying boo earns.
It was David. Are you going
to the mall today?
Are you? Who said he was listening to episode 20 out loud, and you said, Alexa, go murder a guy. And his Amazon Echo shouted out, hello?
That's funny.
That's really weird. My wife was actually talking on the phone to her mother-in-law the other day, and out of the blue, Alexa started defining what porn was. So not only did she say something that sounded like Alexa, but then Alexa thought she heard what is porn and started defining porn.
That is
Pornography.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was like, okay. Why are you talking to me, Alexa? I did not ask you that.
Butt out, Alexa. Jeez.
Gosh.
All right.
A-B conversation.
What can we ask Alexa that will freak out his? It's probably freaking out his Echo right now if he's listening to it.
Probably. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Alexa, change my name to Captain Underpants.
Oh, it's all over now.
Alexa,
make me a sandwich.
Alexa, send an email to my boss that says, I really like you in more than a special way.
Alexa. Now, see, most people on podcasts have been joking about this recently. I've heard a lot of people joking about this recently. And
let's see if this one works. If we can get someone with this one. Xbox off.
The problem is that people joke around about it mostly on the iPhone, and they talk about how it's going to turn off your Google. They say, okay, Google, or hey, Siri. The thing is, it doesn't work that way, because then they tell it a command. If the phone does recognize the voice command, then it stops playing the podcast before the command goes off.
Oh,
so I don't understand why everybody's joking about it, because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's not how this works. It's not how any of this works.
Yeah, not to mention, also, Siri has to know what you're saying. And she's awful. Siri is the biggest pile of crap I have ever used in my life.
Alexa is way better.
She does not even know the name of my city.
So at this point, I'm pretty sure that
I have to say the name of my city
Amazon Echo
wrong.
is turned off.
I have to say the name of my city wrong every time I ask her a question about my city. Stupid.
That drives me nuts too. I'll say, remind me to send Matt a text message when I get home. And I get, which Matt are you talking about?
It shouldn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Or I'll say,
gosh,
somebody that isn't in my address book. Remind me to call David about this when I get home. Which David? Would you like David Tipton or David? I'm like, none of those.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I'm like, no, none of those. I found web results for, I didn't get any of those on the web.
I've got 2 phone numbers in my contacts for my mom. Both phone numbers are exactly the same. When I say, call my mom, which number would you like to use? I don't care. Pick one.
Man.
Anyway.
Welcome to the after show again. Hey, there's
Alexa,
another link.
Go murder Siri.
There's this will probably be the only link that I put in the show notes today. I think we may have talked about the
OK Go
upside down OK Go thing.
Yeah,
about the airplane.
I believe so.
There's an awesome behind the scenes video on that now, so I'll put that in the show notes. It was cool. So, have you watched the behind the scenes video?
I have watched it. Yeah, cool. It's cool. That plane is a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, that's all I got, man. I think we managed to somehow get a decent show.
Scrape almost an hour.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we did, yeah.
Go team.
So please rate us on iTunes. Leave a review. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes or other podcast clients if you're just listening to the audio stream. And please subscribe to us on YouTube as well.
If you have funny things you'd like us to tell Alexa to do for David, then send us that, and we'll say that next time.
He's like, no, don't do it. You can say you've been there, you've done that, you've got the t-shirt. Sign up and get yourself a Brograph t-shirt. No Brograph. Please let us know about NAB if you plan on being on NAB. We'd like to meet up with you. Don't forget to check out dfwc4d.com if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and would like to sign up to get info about our first meetup. That'll be fun. And
if you have any questions or whatever, Brograph at brograph.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube, where we have most of our subscribers.
Yes.
I think 30 times our Twitter subscribers on
That's so
YouTube.
funny, man.
Yeah. And yeah, or you can, of course, check us out at brograph.com.
And if you'd like to take our relationship to the next level, we're also on Facebook.
Facebook.
The Facebook.
The Facebook.
Twitter is, that's crazy. Like,
Twitter's great. Like, so many people, it's weird because I don't use Twitter on a regular basis anymore. Mm-hmm. But man, when it comes to like being able to people to contact us, it almost seems like Twitter is so much faster.
Oh, it's the best way, man. And I haven't used Twitter much until we got back into, I used to back in the day when it was new, but until we did this. And I did not realize how little Twitter followers we had until you brought it up last week. And I was like, wow, we only have like, where were we at, like 104?
Yeah, something like that.
It's because the interaction is so amazing between those 104 people.
Yeah.
Like that I didn't even realize.
It's quality versus, being, paying for 1,000
people who don't give a crap about you.
Fake people.
Yeah, who
tired
cares
of all the
about
phonies.
That? Those people with 7 million followers. I'm like,
hey, did you see some about this? Okay, there's some new. There's an app or something. Brave web browser for iOS. Have you heard about this?
Mm-mm.
Like Otoy has been all over this, like retweeting stuff about this.
Why are they?
I don't know. I was just curious if like maybe something was it done by Otoy?
Brave web browser.
Yeah, for iOS. Like Otoy is retweeting the crap out of anyone who's saying something about this Brave web browser for iOS.
Really? Building a better web. Brave. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I haven't tested it out.
It doesn't have ads and trackers. I guess that's the thing.
Maybe.
But I don't
know why Otoy would be all over it,
Yeah, they're in San Francisco. And that's all I can see right there. FAQ. Do they have anything about like team devs?
Otoy retweets the weirdest stuff. Have you noticed that?
They do retweet like random stuff, so
yeah.
Maybe it is just something random, I guess. Like stuff that's not about Otoy or 3D or anything at all.
Yeah, Brave for iPhone is crazy fast, and Otoy retweeted that. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, I don't get it.
They're really getting paid for it.
Dude, my kid lately has been saying, I don't get it all the time. I don't get it. He's 2.5. I don't get it. We took him to Sesame Street Live this weekend.
Did he get it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The kid had so much fun. But he's like scared of people in costume, So anytime some of the Count or Cookie Monster would come into the aisles, he'd freak out and like hop on my lap because he didn't want them to come near him. Anyway, I don't get it.
I don't get it. We're getting Twittered at right now, actually.
Are we? Ooh.
Yeah, we're getting tweeted.
Let's read it. Live online.
Says, Brograph, you guys broadcasting?
Yes, we are. That's hilarious. Because I liked one of his tweets. I'm responding.
Oh, so am I.
Yes, we are.
Right,
do you have a question
it's gonna be too late.
Want answered? Lol. We're at the very end.
Anyway, we got nothing else to talk about.
That's okay. You know what? And I think this is people's favorite part of the podcast. It's just a couple of guys.
I hope
so. A couple of guys just being guys. Two guys.
Such a cliche on podcasting. If you like listening to just a couple of guys hanging around, it's just like hanging out with your friends. Derp.
Derp.
That's like the tagline for every podcast. It's just like hanging out with a bunch of your friends.
Hey, do you like movies? Come listen to the guys who like movies and talk about movies. Hey, do you like Cinema 4D?
We think we're hilarious.
I think we're hilarious.
It's because I listen to my brother and me,
Oh my gosh. I love
Every
those guys.
advertisement for anything else on the Maximum Fun Network is the cheesiest, most horrible advertisement I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody thinks they are so funny.
You know what? I heard a good podcast. Well, actually, I was listening to NPR the other day, and have you listened to what is it called? My podcast. Hold on, I gotta find out what it's called. Wait, don't tell me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Man, that one's good. I'll tell you.
That's an NPR joint. That's not really a podcast.
Dude, NPR is so good. It's so good. But I've been getting crazy headaches lately, so I can't really listen to talk radio or like anything without my head hurting.
We got our question. Is there a way to attach an object bug? I'm guessing object buffer on a polygon selection. No, there's not, but I've had that before, which is I've had that issue to deal with before, and all I do is basically like take those two polygons and split it, and then put them in a null together, and then I just put the buffer on that. That's really about all you can do. But that would be cool if they added that polygon level, sub level
object
buffers.
Yeah, that's normally what I do too. I'll just select the polygons, I'll split it, and then good to go. So, well, there we go. We got a question Q&A.
Wow, live answering questions live on the show.
Buffer #damn autocorrect.
Cool. Well, I think we covered everything, man. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
We will talk to you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Till next time, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
Later, bros. Go out and vote.
It's pretty good, I guess. Brograph.com, an online resource for learning critical components of Cinema 4D and After Effects, specifically catered to help you prevail as a motion graphic designer.
What's up, bros? Welcome to another Brograph motion graphics tutorial.
We give you professional time-saving tips, shortcuts, and lessons that help give you an edge over your fellow designers. Not only this, but our new Brograph Talks help you in your file management, hardware configuration, and client relations.
I love projects that scare me. When our art director comes to us and asks for something that I had never done before, man, it gets me pumped.
Join us for live sessions, check out our crazy Cinema 4D experiments, or just watch our Fun with Brograph series, where we show you practical applications for techniques learned in previous tutorials. Do this from the beginning, and your client is going to respect that, and they're going to respect you, and they're going to respect your time. Subscribe today and get automatic updates on the latest tutorials, tricks, tips, and inspiration brought to you by industry professionals Dave Koss and Matt Milstead, all with a slight dash of dry humor peppered in. Real nice banana.
Brograph.com, your source for tutorials that will help you thrive in the motion graphics industry. Don't just play around with Cinema 4D and After Effects, master it, and make money by becoming indispensable at your workplace.
We don't care how you get here, folks. Just get here. Subscribe now to Brograph Tutorials. It's pretty good, I guess.